and welcome to the J&K Show. I'm your man, J. Rob. Got my boy K in the house. What up, K?
Yo. What's good, Jay?
I'm good, man. I'm blessed.
That's what's up.
I'm blessed, brother. I'm blessed.
Glad you know. I'm glad you know that. Indeed.
Listen, I'm just happy to be here. We rocking out on the J&K Show. Of course, we talk all, entertainment stories. We got sports stories. We got, different news stories. We got relationships, all that good stuff. Right, brother?
Yeah, man. And it's there's a lot going on. So a lot to talk about, man. So let's jump right into it.
All right. We're going to kick things off today with a very interesting story that's been going on in the news for the last 2-3 weeks. It all started with the whole rap beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, of course. But now it seems like it's simmered down. Well, it hasn't simmered down, but the rap beef is over. And now it's turned to real life, right? And sadly, there was a security guard that was at Drake's house in Canada that was shot, right? He was standing outside of Drake's house, in front of the, behind the gates, doing his job as a security guard. And unfortunately, he was shot in the chest, right? Now, this is Drake's security guard doing his job, right? Shot in the chest, critically injured. He's, clinging on to his life right now, and it's, it's a serious condition.
Right.
And obviously, as you know, a lot of people on social media is kind of tying this in to be, probably because of the whole, rap beef that's going on between both of these rappers. And, obviously they've investigated this story right now, and this whole thing is going on, and there hasn't been any official tie-ins that it has anything to do with the beef. But, that's what's being speculated right now. Obviously, they're investigating that. And then as the week goes on, just the day after that, there's been a lot of stuff going on at Drake's house. Then someone tried to break into Drake's house, right? Tried to break into his house. A lot of people was just saying that, again, this has to do with it. And not only one person tried to break into his house. The following day, another person tried to break into Drake's house. Right now, he wasn't home at the time of the shooting, and no one knows if he was home at the time of these break-ins as well, right? But the question I have to ask you is, why do you think that all of these things are happening? Do you think that it could potentially have anything to do with the rap beef that's going on between these two rappers? Or do you just think that it's just, kind of just, a coincidence that it's happened?
Well, to answer your question, potentially could it be? Yeah, it could be. And I certainly hope that it's not. The idea of them just having rap battles, through the lyrics, through music, I love that. I'm here for that. Rick Ross, he even dropped the track, which I thought was funny, right? Him on there calling Drake white boy, which is actually pretty funny. But if it really did indeed escalate to the point where there's violence and people getting shot and so on, it's like guys, let's knock it off, right?
Yeah.
It to me, it hasn't risen to the level of anything that would engage folks in violence, right? Like there's no need for any of that.
Right.
Keep it on wax, or in this day and age, I think I aged myself with that. But keep it digital.
Yeah.
Keep it to the downloads, and let's just all kind of enjoy the art form. It shouldn't go beyond that. And if you really feel like you want to fight and and get into this physical of fisticuffs, then put on some gloves, go in a ring, and raise some money for charity or something like that, right? But roll the guns. And I also say this, man, that I think sometimes it's less of the people themselves, meaning like the rappers themselves, but it's often like their homies, the people around them,
the fans,
right? Fans get involved, right? And that's the part where you would hope that they step up and say, "Hey, knock it off. There's no real beef here. It's just we're just doing this through the music," and just kind of leave it at that.
Do you think there is a problem because Kendrick actually put on a photo of Drake's house on the album cover, Not Like Us, putting a Google image of Drake's house? So all these crazy people out there, because we know there's a lot of crazy people. Actually, one of the people that broke into his house has a mental, an illness. So he's not even being charged, right? So he was caught, and they're being held, but they took him to a mental facility in a hospital. He's not going to be charged with anything just because of this mental illness that he has. But do you think that Kendrick went a little bit too far when he put Drake's house on Google Images on there where people could see his address and where he lives, that these people who are mentally challenged can actually go and find Drake? Do you think that he maybe went too far doing that?
That's tough to say, right? So I'll take the easy way out and say, yeah, it's probably a bit too far, right? But I think all of that kind of clowning one another, right? Using, we've already, Drake already used AI, right? Yeah. So when you compare that to Kendrick putting up a photo of his home, so some of the tools and things that they're using to clown one another has kind of expanded beyond just, three lyrics, three verses and a bar, and a hook, three verses and a hook. But it's some of it's gone past that. And so it's disappointing to see. Is it too far? I think maybe it is too far if that was the thing that led to, someone firing a firearm. But with respect to just clowning one another, it's okay. And it should be okay to be able to do that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it seems to have kind of grown out of that a little bit, which is a bit much, though.
Yeah, and then you're putting different people's lives in dangers now. This is a rap beef, and you guys can go at each other. But now when an innocent man who's just doing his job as a security guard, gets shot in the chest, and again, we don't know, like I said, if it's definitely tied into that. But there, potentially is a good chance that it can be. And Kendrick is out there, making claims that he's a child pedophile, right? And so when people hear that, people look up to people that they're icons, they're celebrities, and if people believe what they say, right? You can just be saying it on wax, is just taking jabs at someone, but there are people out there with mentally challenged or just super fans who believe that, hey, yeah, Drake really is a pedophile. Like, let's go to his house, let's get him, let's try to shoot up the house. Like, they could do that. So I just think that this went a little overboard, especially what happened back in the days with Tupac and Big and stuff like that. We get it, and they lost their lives or whatever. It's just, I just think, as grown men, both of them should just understand that maybe they just went a little bit too far. But you're making these accusations about people that are not true, and then people could potentially be losing their lives. It's not a cool thing.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jay. Like, it is not worth anyone getting hurt, anyone losing lives. Listen, when you clear away all of the nonsense, it's a couple of millionaires, right? Throwing verbal jabs at one another, right? Like, so, like, there's no real title, right? It's just people in their feelings. Like, come on, guys, like, stop it, right? Like, it's equivalent to a group of us down at the park doing the dozens, right? Like, that's how it should be, and to me, that's why it would be fun,
right?
That it should never rise to the level of violence and people. Like, it's like, come on, guys, man. Like, just make music, right? Make good music, right? I think it forces artists to be a little bit more clever and other things, and let's all enjoy that. And then at the end of these songs, put a disclaimer out there, or do videos like, "Yo, it's all good," right? I really don't like him. Right. However, we shouldn't cross the line on that, and that would be dope if they could, somehow include that in the message. Or on a side note, I'm listening to myself. Man, I think I've aged, man.
Yeah, we have.
You know what I mean? I feel like I don't know if I would ever, if I felt this way years ago, but it just feels different now. It's like, really, are we fighting over this?
Yeah. Listen, it's good to see them do this because it kind of brought rap back, right? Like the whole battle and everything like that, and got people interested. I mean, there are so many people, even grandmothers and older people, that are like, "Oh, what did Drake say about him? What did Kendrick say?" It's like, you ain't never listened to rap, and that's kind of how it's going. But then when you hear the part of the story where they're not going to charge this guy who actually broke into his house because of this mental disability, what do you think about that? Do you think people should use the excuse of mental ability. Not to say that it's not true, but do you think that people should get a pass because they have this mental disability that they shouldn't be charged for breaking into someone's house? What do you think about that?
Wow, see, I think you're trying to get me canceled.
No, I'm just asking. It's just your opinion. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, no, listen. If you're ill and it is something outside of your control, regardless what that diagnosis is, you should get help. Now, that help may include removing you from society, right? Mm-hmm. You may need to be institutionalized, right? Which should not be confused with incarceration, right? So from that perspective, then something should be done. So yeah,
that's true. And there's a lot of fans. This has been going on since the beginning of time where fans know the address of these celebrities and they go to this house. There's been people who've lost their lives, through this. So I just think he should just get up and move. Why does everybody know that? Like, your house has been broken into how many times? 2 times already, and there's been a shooting. Leave that house, right?
No. I'm not. That's.
You wouldn't move. You wouldn't get up and move.
I absolutely would not move.
Why not?
Because. Well, a couple.
If there was a shooting at your house and then there was 2 break-ins, people kept, and this is not actually the first time. Someone tried to break into this house years ago, right? So this is not a new thing. So you would think that these celebrities would learn that. Is there a way not to make their address public?
Yeah, I wouldn't leave. Listen, you are a star, right? A mega star like Drake is. That's going to follow you. Like, where are you going to go, right? Right. That's going to follow you wherever you go. So it doesn't matter where you live. At some point, that information is going to get out. So from that standpoint, no. And it's a deal with the devil, man. You know what I mean? Famous, people recognizing you at that level, right? You've got legions of fans all over the world. Information is accessible. It's bound to happen. So I don't think the reason why, so to answer your question, would I move? No, I wouldn't move because that same issue is going to follow me no matter where I go. So I might as well remain where I am and kind of fortify my position. I've got security. You put in some measures. I think, was it the book/movie, the Bling Gang or something like that was tracking celebrities. So while celebrities were out posting photos from different places they were, was kind of giving a signal to bad actors that, hey, that person's not home. Right. And they would then go in, was it the Bling Ring or something they were calling it? Right. Go in and rob them. So I think we're all a little bit smarter as a result of that, how we move, who moves around with us. But if I'm Drake, no, I don't do that. I would be more concerned or interested in brokering some sort of peace, right? Like, where's the Steve Stout for today to intervene the way, like he did with Jay and Nas and, kind of mediating their frayed relationship. Yeah. Who's that person today, right? To do that with Kendrick and Drake and bring those guys back together. Maybe that would be.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you know what? I think. Yeah. I certainly hope. I hope you're wrong. You're probably right. You're usually right, Jay. But I hope you're wrong, man. I hope that they can find their way before it gets worse. It feels like if there was somebody, maybe like DJ Khaled, right? Like, that dude is like a walking Switzerland. Gets along with everyone. He's always in peacetime. Never any problems. At least out front, right? There's probably, you don't get that successful without having some challenges with some folks. But generally speaking, it seems like a lot of folks kind of like him. So maybe he can pick up the phone and kind of bring cats together. Right?
Well, I think they could have done it, but once you start talking about someone's wife and then they're talking about, their child and them not being a good father, I think that's when they cross the line. Like, if y'all keep it on one-on-one attacks against you guys personally, that's one thing. But when they start talking about stuff like that, I don't really know how close of friends they really were before that point anyway. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think they were, but,
Hey,
crazy business.
Hey, Nas and Jay-Z, man, go listen to it, man. There was talk of someone sleeping with someone, and, like they came back from it, right?
That's true.
If you didn't know about it, you wouldn't know that there was ever a challenge with those.
That's true, because then didn't Jay sign Nas to Def Jam?
Yeah, it was.
And now they're all good because they grew up in it. So
absolutely.